And last time.
Yesterday it was with nothing but a wind, dirt
Well,
down.
when I drove it, last time it rained, I had to put in four-wheel drive to get up the hill.
Get up the ramp.
Yeah. I wasn't going fast enough to hit it.
This conference will now be
Yeah.
recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I meant to say something to the rest of us.
Oh, yes.
All right, it's 9 o'clock.
We gotta do something.
Huh?
That's exactly what we got.
Well, it was just
9
put
o'clock.
waste, what to build up the ramp with.
First item is public comments. Seen a few people pop in here in the last few seconds.
Does anyone on the virtual meeting have a public comment? If so, please utilize the chat box or unmute yourself and so that the chairman can call on you.
Thank you. And there's nobody in the room, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would it be all right, I would like to have thrown in, I think an executive session with Josh and for personnel and,
We have an evaluation.
he's in the evaluation? Yeah. All right. Okay, but,
You wanted an additional one for,
yeah, I mean, that's evaluation, this is,
Okay.
I think it's personnel somewhere, we need to throw it down in there.
Personal
towards
performance.
the end
We'll just-
somewhere.
We'll just have 2 personal performances.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
okay?
Okay, I'll close public comments, seeing none. I'm going to either COVID updates.
I have one that was emailed, and Deidre said if you have questions about it, you can talk to her, I believe, during her schedule. She's on today. Okay.
So we'll just wait for these during our time
Just for her to do the update.
to do a COVID update.
Okay.
I might ask her a question she can address when she gets back. Is that proper?
She's on.
She's not on at the moment.
So we'll,
Okay.
yeah, that's why I was just figuring it'd be easier rather than us reading monotony off of the email.
Okay.
Just have her give us the update. We're on
Okay.
administrative business.
In your packet, you had the transfer station tonnage reports. And if you have questions about that, you can ask Josh when he's on. Okay. My document just went away.
Oh, we have a salary sheet.
Yeah. Not quite sure what's going on with that.
So, we have a salary change for Nicole Reed, in the appraiser's office. Just a change of title. Change to assistant appraiser. So $38.77 a month to $38.77 a month. We have a salary change for the appraiser. Our new county appraiser, Carl Miller, from 0 to $2,500 a month.
a salary change for a new equipment operator at the transfer station, Jared Shapers, from 0 to 22.67 a month. That is reloading. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of October 13th? Questions or concerns? Corrections? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 13th. Second. Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Looks like it's back on.
Yep. I don't know. It's back.
We'll get through it.
It's one of those things. Okay, we do have pay estimate number 8 for the transfer station building project.
Everybody had a chance to review the pay estimate? Any comments or concerns or questions? I know it's a loaded question. Not at this time.
Concerns ongoing.
All right. Hearing none at this time, we'll make a motion to approve pay estimate number 8. In the amount of $203,754.61. As far as the estimate, or I mean, as far as the contract's concerned, it should be roughly 88.8%. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Diane. All those in favor? Aye.
On the back, you go for whoever you want, hit next, and then just keep doing that. And there's one place, well, you know, one if you want to go right in,
Okay.
right in, keyboard there.
We do have a new business that submitted an application for the Community Development Block Grant. This is for Middle Creek Mining in Peabody, for Middle Creek Corporation. And they did meet all the qualifications, and SCED has given them approval. And they are a larger company, so within our rules, it's a $10,000 grant. And so we just need formal approval from the commission. And they have signed the agreement regarding duplication of benefits, which is another new requirement that the state just put on recently, which also includes a signature page for the chair. So we just need official action to award that Community Development Block Grant.
I'd make that motion to award the CDBG to Middle Creek Mine, $10,000.
I'll second it.
Second by Dave. Any questions, concerns, comments? All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
And at SCED, they have changed our, the person that we're dealing with again. And this this new person is following up with all the previously approved businesses to make sure that they're getting all their information turned in. So it looks like a positive.
But as we go on, Tina, you think they're making sure that everything's in line before we get it now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. This one, we just received this application last week. It was a good, complete application. We sent it on to them. They reviewed it. There was one piece of information missing. They followed up directly with the company and received it. And so, you know, so that's good.
Just for information, Skid has had to add quite a bit of additional staff because of all the grant administration that they're doing. So, yeah, they've added a number of staff last month or two.
And I do know, as far as the roofing bids that we had done, the insurance company was meeting with one company just to review some damage. They are aware that we're in the middle of bids. They're still not ready for us to proceed with any awards on that, so. Yeah, I believe that's all I got for admin today.
To have all this things stated.
Very good. So, Bryce is on. We'll go ahead and move on to Road and Bridge. There he is. Bryce, whenever you're ready.
If you're talking, we can't hear you.
His mic is unmuted. But I don't see anything speaking. I don't see the speaker kicking in when he speaks. Bryce?
Might need to actually turn on your microphone or whatever you're using to speak.
If nothing else, come up here and see us.
Yeah.
I say the same thing.
Yep. I heard that.
I know. How you turn down the volume?
Should be it.
Yeah.
Right down here. Click on that little. See? There you go.
All right. Got it.
Yeah, I'll get a hold.
I talked to him, sure about 6 people not showing up today. Sickness. Talked to him. Here it
Here
goes.
he is. Here.
There he is.
Must be a Monday morning.
What's wrong with your equipment?
It's plugged in, it's turned on, I checked the connection and so,
Still on.
huh? Yeah, it says it's on, but I was gonna yell and I didn't think maybe you can, so. All right, as far as the one thing I was gonna add, unruly easement, I haven't heard anything back from Brad. I don't know if that's something he's going to discuss later on. So, waiting on that. Got the Falcon Road from 190th to 56th rebuilt, had rock on it. We're putting the surface rock on it today. Did some rework on 370th county line last week. The striping was also completed on all the paved roads, so I think it looks pretty good. Another thing was the Florence Bridge. I have not heard back from Brad on that. He was waiting on a call back from I think the Attorney General office or something on that. So Purple Wave was out Friday. They have set the auction date at November 17th for our two pieces of equipment, the tourism bus. We had a winch for the back of the old, for our dozer, and then the two ambulances. So I gave the, I don't know if Tina got it to you, I gave the information to you for the accident involving the county employee week and a half ago. So look that over. We're still waiting on the KHP report on that. So there's also paperwork there for, excuse me, for the commission to sign off for the off-system bridge that was approved last week. It's just a formality of signing it. They only have 3 signature lines for the commission. It's a protected form, and I wasn't able to add them. So whether you have 3 sign or 5 sign or whatever you want to do, but basically all it is basically saying that the county agrees to go ahead and get this process started, and we have the funds available. So is that what you have there, Gemma?
That's what's here.
Yes.
So the funds available are, how much is the county?
It would be 20, unless, I think it's on the second sheet of the 20% of what, it's like,
Of the project?
yeah, it's gonna be like right at $100,000 based on this estimate. So
Which bridge is it?
this is the one that, between 220th and 230th on Eagle, northeast of Lehigh. It's been turned in several times, and they finally, selected it, so.
So it's 20% is the county?
Yes, yes.
So it's saying the participating costs are 500,000, so that's, our 20% is 100,000. And then there's also non-participating costs of 47,000, which would be all on the county. So that'd be 147,000.
Now we really feel at this time, I say estimated it based on very conservative numbers that it would be considerably less than that. We feel this is one place that we could probably get it done for a lot less than that, but we at least have the funds approved for that, for that approval. So it wouldn't be anywhere near that by the time we're done. So like I said, all we just need is commission approval for that.
Hey, on your Purple Wave, could you say what the 2 pieces of equipment that Road Bridge is selling besides the winch?
We had the red Kenworth dump truck and our bucket truck. And then the old cable scraper winch from the back of the dozer.
Tina, do you want me to sign this?
Pardon me?
Make a motion to approve first.
Yeah.
I was just making sure that everybody got a chance to see
Oh,
it.
okay.
Also with that mower stuff, that's what you have there, Tina, is we got costs to fix the mower. We thought it was actually going to be very, very good shape, but come to find out the frame got damaged as well as the deck. XL actually come out and actually looked at it with their engineers, because they were like, man, if that thing took a hit and did that well, they were gonna use it for a little bit of marketing. But as it turned out, they said it would, without straightening the frame and everything else, it just wouldn't mow right. So we've got the information there to repair it, but then also replace it. One good thing is we don't have to replace it right away, simply because we're pretty much done mowing. If we do need to mow, we could probably use the courthouses or whatever else. So that was just information they provided for us.
Is that the mower that you share with the transfer station?
Yes. I believe the deal was the transfer station actually bought it and we paid half or something to that effect, so we own essentially halfway. And we've given that information to Josh as well, so.
What was that? Is that a 72-inch mower?
60.
16?
Yeah. We've had one of our employees that offered to sell his mower that he doesn't use anymore. It's a little bit bigger at a he said it's only a year old, less than 100 hours or something like that, but when we get to that point, we can discuss that, so. But like I said, fortunately, we're to the point where we really don't need it right now, so we've got.
This is the cost to repair what was in the accident, right?
Yes, and the pieces up on top, or that small little piece up there, that's actually for a new one, very comparable with what, $6,000 or something like
Yeah,
that. And a little bit bigger with, I guess the new thing is a rear discharge.
They're not new, but they're.
Well, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
new technique or whatever else that was considerably more than that, but anyway, so, just
Wouldn't you still
information.
want a side discharge?
What's that?
Wouldn't you still want a side
We
discharge?
haven't even really talked about it.
Just because you're keeping it off of your gravel?
Well, but this would be the stuff like we mow our shop with and stuff like that. It really wouldn't be. The biggest thing we worry about that is just not discharging onto the street. We've
Throw rocks and pieces of metal.
Well, yeah, like I said, and I've never really checked into the rear discharge why, it'd be any better or worse. But anyway,
We've been using them for about 5 or 6 years out at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
yeah.
Safety issue.
Is that the main thing? Is you
Don't discard
Yeah.
both ways, it just
Gotcha.
behind you.
yeah,
Sure.
As long as nobody's walking
don't-
behind.
You don't hurt the stones and things
right.
like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I know we don't have to make a decision on this right away, because it's season, but is there any chance you can get bids from?
Other people.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and like
Well,
I
I
said,
mean-
that's why we really haven't pushed it, is because we're really not any big.
Because I know there's multiple places in Marion County that sell,
Yeah.
Well, my question is, if it's not our fault, apparently,
right?
Well, and that's the other thing too, is, you have the two people that were involved in the accident, there's report, and that's why we're
Right.
kind of waiting on the highway
Right.
patrol to see what
right.
his documentation determination was,
So
so.
the insurance could play a
Big
big
Yes.
on that too.
Yes.
And it could say you got to replace in kind.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like I said, that's why that was just information I turned in with the paperwork, so,
Okay,
but,
so I guess we'll wait.
yeah,
for
we
more
can just
details.
wait on that. The only thing is and one of the, I guess the big thing on the off-system bridge is I'd like to push as much as we can. Basically, KDOT is saying they've got $10 million in the kitty, they're only they're only using $8 million now. So the first people to get their information into them gets funding for 2022, and then it will go to 2023 after that. So, based on that, the sooner we get our information in, and we get that process started, so.
My question again, back to our list, is any of the bridges eligible? The fracture critical bridges for this?
This one here is I believe this was fracture critical also, and then the local bridge improvement program we were gonna submit the bridge south of 170th on Goldenrod. That's a steel truss bridge that's caused a lot of problems too. We were gonna submit that for the local bridge improvement program.
So Bryce, I have a couple questions for you. I want to go back to this bridge down in Florence.
Okay.
So, did you ever check to see on that bridge, because it was interesting when I was reading that story, I did quite a bit of research in that area down there.
Yeah.
Did you ever check to see if we actually have easements or anything in place for the right-of-ways of the old original Highway 50 roads and road right-of-ways down there, which would include this bridge? Do we actually have those in place?
Well, I don't know if that would have ever come into play as far as the county, because that was always the city. So I guess I don't know why that would pertain to the county.
Well, simply because they want the county to take it back now and stuff like that. Anyway, since it was the old Highway 50, I know KDOT was involved. And I know that in a lot of those roads down there, even though the county gave away the road right-of-ways, and I did a lot of research on this a couple of months back, and I worked with Brad with it, and he's aware of it as well. There is no road right-of-ways down there in a lot of those roads that we gave away. And that's
probably gonna show its ugly head before too awful long. But I was wondering if we maybe need to do a little bit more research on that, down in that area. And since this is along the old Highway 50,
Right.
I was incorporating it into it because it will somehow come up. I'm thinking.
Well, again, I don't know what that'd have to do with the county though, because if it was a city before and when KDOT went through there, that would have reverted back to being within the city limits.
Well, you would think, and the same way with the roads and stuff like that too, you would think that it would revert back, but then you also have those quitclaim deeds, that were in our deeds office here and stuff. So I'm just asking
Right.
if you're doing your homework on that because it's gonna
Well,
come up.
yeah, I mean,
And,
the only thing we were looking at is, I was waiting on Brad to come back to see what his determination was, cause it sounded like there was maybe some question about that, but.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we always deal with that no matter what, based on the
Well, I know the county
historical.
did before we gave those right of ways away, and
Yeah.
I had a core request into the chief right away, that I seen, and they claimed that they never gave any quitclaim deeds, but yet we have some over here in our
Yeah.
local office. So, and of course with, Flint Hills Recca down south,
Yeah.
they claim that the property owners own all that. and
Yeah,
that's
well,
private
and-
property, so I mean,
and-
it's something that really needs to be,
Well, I run across this a lot, especially researching properties to try to find property lines and section corners and stuff like that, is the way that documentation has been transpired or lack thereof in the past, I think is huge. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that only thing that may come into play was it's gonna have to be a legal decision all the way around, unfortunately, so.
okay, well, I was just wondering if you had some of that, because
Yeah,
I
I-
know, it just kind of brought back a lot of memories of some of the records and documents that I've seen over the months, and I thought, aha. So I was just wondering
Yeah.
what you were doing as far as.
Yeah,
following up
I
on
hadn't
that.
heard any more, like I said,
Okay.
waiting on Brad, so.
So this project is 230th and Eagle Road Bridge Replacement. So I will go ahead and make a motion for the project title, 230th and Eagle Road Bridge Replacement, to approve with a, dollar figure of $147,000 not to exceed. Second by Kent. Any other comments?
I don't know the road without seeing it. It's important in my mind,
Just a clarification on your motion. Could you say with county costs not to exceed?
The county costs not to exceed.
Okay.
Still
Not
have your second?
total, yeah.
That bridge is not
Ken?
good at all.
You still have your second?
Yes.
Okay.
just so someone knows it's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. So, just sign
I think that you just want to pass it down and have everyone sign.
Yeah.
Even if there's no room, you just sign below. So you sign the top line.
The only thing that I had was just kind of a informal, I guess, without any disagreement from the commission. We had talked, I don't know if it was last year, maybe the first part of this year, about the possibility or whatever else of the occurrence, but when I was listening to the KAC meeting last week and Secretary Lorenz was talking about things that KDOT could do. One of the things is they've always said, well, if you have any questions or need any help, just let us know. Well, it kind of jogged my memory that I think it would behoove the county as well as cities and constituents and stuff like that is, we brought up the issue of whether Father Emil Capon would be made a saint. I've been told that if this does happen, that there will be a tremendous amount of influx of people, not only locally, but whatever else. And it just started jogging my mind that obviously Road and Bridge probably has the biggest stake in this. But what I would kind of like to do is kind of develop a group, not only of Road and Bridge people, but cities, the church, whatever else, to kind of get together, to kind of start throwing ideas out there as to what we could do or what we could promote. I think we're dealing with the economic benefit of motels, restaurants. We're looking at maybe there's some trails money to do something out there, whatever else. And again, just to start the process rolling. I mean, it's not going to be an immediate thing. If any commissioners want to be involved in it, I'd just like to get a mix of everybody in there so we can kind of start getting this going, because again, I don't want it to be to the point that if this does happen, we say, oh, now what do we do? Now what do we do? So I guess if you guys don't have any dissension on that, I just won't take a lot of time, but it's just a matter of trying to get things started. I was talking to Randy Collett, and he is by far, about it. And I not only that I think it will affect Marion County, but I think it could affect other counties as well. If there is that kind of input, whether it's, housing or restaurants or whatever else, so that maybe that's where it gets, because especially coming from up north, in the Salina, McPherson, Abilene areas, people come down the interstate that way. Maybe it's just me being overly cautious, but I'm just like, if we have to rebuild the roads or whatever else, because if we start putting that kind of traffic on these roads, we're going to be in a world of hurt pretty fast. So, but anyway, I thought if we could get together, come up with some ideas, and then we could turn it over to KDOT and let them mull it over, because they've got multitude of state and or federal, avenues out there that we could try to pull some money from if possible. So, any comments or suggestions, thoughts?
I like the forward thinking, that's all. Go ahead, Randy.
I have no problems with backing it, but I will tell you that I've heard it for 15 years.
Well,
and I don't know where the whole process is, whether the church is all along with it a long ways already and going somewhere with it, or whether it's, but we rebuilt Remington, and threw a lot of money preparing for it back then even.
yeah.
I'm just saying,
yeah,
I don't know where it's at.
And I think they're that way too. And this whole thing comes down to the fact is there's no definite date, yes or no. It's in the hands of the people and obviously the church and everything else. I've talked to people in the past that the church will have to put forth a lot of money too up there. They have to redo some facilities, parking. They actually own to the lots to the south, so they have to increase parking. So they've got a lot out there too. And I've been told that the same thing as you, this process could be fairly quickly, and it may never happen, but at least, not before we have to spend any money or whatever else, but at least we can know what avenues maybe we have out there or whatever else. So just to see what's out there, get the process started more on a formal, informal, whatever you want to say, but just a group to get together. So.
Not a problem having a plan for what if.
Yeah, well, that's, it's like we've talked about, we've had issues with roads, we've got to come up with an idea for those too, and I'm working on that, so. But anyway, I just thought if we could get KDOT and their multitude of revenues or avenues out there, so.
So this would be a group of people that would be either recommended or nominated or something?
Well,
before the commission?
No, not necessarily. I was just saying that we get together to come into just some ideas of where, maybe we need to add or subtract people, different avenues to
Well, I think the idea is good.
yeah, that's, like I said, more of just an informal thing to get the process started, and maybe down the road we do develop a formal group that will start that way, so just to brainstorm on ideas. So, other than that, if you guys have anything.
Thank you, Bryce.
Okay.
Your white lines saved me a rear end chewing, so thank you. From my wife.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, I'm just gonna stay out of that conversation.
Well, she was ready to unload, so she drove it, seen some of them south of Peabody.
Yeah, they come in Wednesday late morning and was done by Thursday night. So he said I'd love to sit here and talk. We've got other places to go. So, but all right, if you need something else, let me know.
There's a chair over here if you'd like to sit.
You can actually sit close to him, because I know you're in the same house.
And we have more chairs folding chairs.
here.
There's folding chairs behind the door.
Not trying to throw you under the bus, but maybe
I have to live with it.
Yeah. All right. No, that DD's going to be in here.
I don't need a chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Think it would be a problem if we swap Travis and Deidre? Anybody have any issues with that? I see that Travis is on here, so I figured just jump in. Okay. Travis, are you there?
Yeah, Jonah, I can be over in walking time. I just haven't made it over there yet.
Okay, well,
If you want me in person, or I can do it just with you.
it's however you think it.
I don't have a lot, Jonah, so I guess I can just do it this way. I
Okay.
planned on it sending in person, but that's fine. A6, our unit that's housed in Tampa, had some damage on a rear fender prior to my arrival. And they had got quotes on it a couple of years ago, and it just got pushed to the back burner. With all the units up and running good, I have the spare unit, so we could take that A6 Tampa unit to the body shop and get that repaired. I have a bid from Arley's for $1,722. So I guess I'd like to get that repaired.
I don't see anything. What's your budget authority?
It's 1,000, so
Okay.
the commission would just.
So I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the 1,700 to Arley's to have the ambulance repaired.
Second.
Second. Randy?
And just a clarification on your motion, you're approving the entire bid amount, not just 1,700. It's 1,722, I think. you
Oh,
said.
yeah, so.
1722.20.
Yeah, the bid amount of 1,722.20. Still got a second, right?
Yes.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Five.
And then the other, another item is, as Bryce mentioned, the Purple Wave. We have 2 units that will be going on Purple Wave. It's not up on me, and I didn't get approval to sell these items. If we need to remove them, we can. One of them is a 2002 Ford ambulance that was taken offline when the previous director received the 2 new units, A4 and A5. I believe it's an old Peabody unit. And the other one is a mid-90s that was given to the city of Marion. They no longer wanted it. We had a little bit of title issue, but we did get a title to it. It's been sitting at the county shop for about a year, and now it's ready to sell too, so if the commission's okay with that, I'd like to go ahead and get rid of those.
I have no problem with it, I mean, just sitting around. Do you have a spare unit still?
I do, I have one spare unit here at the Marion Station.
Okay,
If that one goes down, Randy, we have a spare.
okay. As long as you got a spare.
Um,
Okay.
on Wednesday, was that Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday we had our Kansas Board of EMS annual inspection of the service. I received one email stating we had 0 deficiencies. We passed the flying colors. I received the next email that our no smoking sign had fallen off of the dash. We repaired that while she was here. They did mark it as a repaired deficiency while they were outside. There's no corrective action needs to be taken. We passed the flying colors, so just a little information for you there.
Nice.
And I think that's about all I have.
Do we Travis?
Employee-wise, or any COVID problems? Yep,
Fortunately not.
good.
We're doing okay. Yeah, everybody's happy and healthy.
Good.
Good. That's a good question. Good. Glad you asked that one.
And I certainly, Randy, if we get something, I'll certainly include everybody in the email.
Thank you.
If one of our people has an issue, or I'll call you individually or something.
Yeah, just email all of us or call us, one of the two.
Yep. Absolutely.
We want to know it before the newspaper does.
Yeah.
Good one.
I'm not over there, I think she's sitting in the room.
All righty. Thank you, Travis.
You bet.
Okay, Ginger's here.
Okay, I didn't see her down there. All right, Deidre. Are you there? There it is.
Sorry,
There we go.
I had, right.
Hey, Deidre, we skipped over the COVID update, just figuring since you were gonna be here. So would you go ahead
Oh,
and
okay,
take care of that?
sure. As of this morning, we have 104 confirmed positive PCR cases. We have 47 probable cases, 22 active, and there is a correction to the one I sent earlier, but we do have one hospitalization. And the dashboard will be updated and released around 4 p.m. The health department continues turning over all non-household contacts to KDHE for the contact outreach and monitoring. So sometimes individuals are not contacted for a day, or that could even be almost 2 days before they're contacted. Usually, most of the time we do encourage the positive case to get in contact with anybody they feel that would be considered a contact. Remember, a contact is someone who is within 6 feet from 10 minutes or longer. So we don't quarantine contacts of contacts. We've had a lot of questions, and I know the schools have had a lot of questions about why certain people are quarantined and certain others are not. So does anyone have questions about that?
I don't see.
The nurses continue to work with businesses and facilities through all the investigations. So they're kind of very busy right now. So I do need to ask the commission if you are going to pay for employee influenza vaccinations that when the employee does not have health insurance. We have been billing insurance for those who have health insurance. However, last year there were only a couple. It was very few that did not have insurance, and we did bill the county. Is that going to be the practice again this year?
I thought it was that if they didn't have insurance, they had to pay for it.
The county has always paid for employees, and the health department, I think your motion last time was that to bill insurance if they have insurance, rather than just paying outright. So,
And those that didn't have insurance, we went ahead and paid, which was just what you said last year, just a couple, Deidre?
Yes, just a couple, because like part-time employees aren't offered benefits.
Oh.
And so that's where we kind of had a handful.
So if they're part-time, then they're given grace as far as the not having insurance?
Well, we paid for it.
We don't qualify for insurance.
Is that where the line got drawn last year though? If they were part-time, then the county covered?
I believe you drew the line as where if they didn't have insurance.
Oh, just if they don't
Right.
have insurance.
Yeah, if they do not have insurance, which it was not very many.
What's the cost per shot now?
It is anywhere, let me pull that out. It depends what the employee gets. If they are over 65, it's $76. Between the ages of 50 and 64, it's also $76. And if it's just the regular dose, it's $40.
I'll make the motion that we pay for all non-insured people who work for the county.
I'd second that.
10 seconds. My comment is I just struggle, you know, if there's full-time people and they're not buying their own insurance, it's just not fair to the people that have insurance. So.
I think the issue is we want to make sure all of our employees.
I know.
Well, protect everybody else, get a private shot.
I think it is a good preventative measure, and it does cut down on possible sick time.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye.
No, I said aye.
4-1. Four in favor and 1 against.
I didn't know, but were you against? Oh, awesome, I didn't know that.
Just struggle with that.
It is,
Insurance
it's
costs
tough
me a lot
because,
of
you know,
money.
to take insurance, it's a choice. So
Well,
they're
and on
choosing.
the insurance, I don't believe we have, I mean, all of ours, if they waive insurance, they have to have coverage elsewhere, I believe. There may be, maybe one that just doesn't have coverage. But generally speaking, that's very rare for us not to have a full-time person.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that tonight, or this afternoon, 4:30 to 6 will be our last outside flu clinic, and that will be held at Peabody City Hall. The Tampa Senior Center, we had 42. At Burns, we had 29. Peabody Senior Center, 33. Florence Clinic, we had 35. Gossel City Hall, we had 38. The Marion Senior Center, 19. The Lincolnville Community Building, 40. And Hillsborough City Hall, 51. So the nurses have been quite busy doing immunizations for flu shots. They've gone to several businesses and facilities. And we also have been offering them here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for appointments. And last week, Thursday, we were open till 6:30. And we probably, I don't know, we'll revisit that next year, but we didn't have a super turnout. I don't know if it's because we've opened up. Typically, we only give immunizations on Wednesday, and now we have opened up Monday and Fridays. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I had one, Deidre. Last week, the governor's office announced they had, they were receiving a large number of rapid tests. Are they gonna distribute those among the county health departments?
They, like healthcare providers will have the opportunity, if they're having problems getting supplies, they can check with the state lab. I know the state lab is using some different platforms also. Hillsborough Hospital is starting to do the molecular. They have the capability. I'm not sure when they will roll that out. I know Marion is waiting on some supplies. The last I knew, that was last week. I haven't touched base this week with them. But with that expanded testing money, I'm trying to work with the facilities, and we need to develop the logistics, like who would be entitled to these. And I'm kind of leaning toward individuals who are symptomatic or who have been exposed to the COVID or a positive person. We would offer these tests to them.
Deidre, how many deaths have we had in this county from COVID? Total deaths. How many have we had? Well, I haven't seen anything on the reports since we had that one, but I didn't know if there was any that just wasn't being reported. It's not on here. So that's, you're saying it's just
Sorry, the
one?
meeting is having a little bit of troubles, so just a second.
A lot of activity going on.
I'll see if I can get back on.
Yeah, lost the audio, lost everything.
Yeah, we lost our internet actually. It says it's connecting, so hopefully it is.
Eagle must be down, Bill.
It looks like internal network came back, just had a glitch.
I have to get out of the meeting and get back in, but I may have to.
Yeah, all dropped.
Should I just do that?
Yep.
Okay.
That goes out, everybody just gets quiet.
Well, we haven't had so many people
I
in the
don't
room.
think any of you noticed on some of the news shows how many drops they've been getting in the last week. One that I watch regularly, they're just dropping left and right. So I don't know what's going on.
I think the whole world's slowing down.
Well, last year,
Interfering with the connections.
last year at school, when school got back in from spring break, when it was all virtual, it happened everywhere. It just totally sucked down the network. School kids, about 9 o'clock, the network connections would just all fall down.
Well, hopefully we'll get this back up here. I apologize.
And, you know, I'm seeing them not connected again, so.
Well, it's definitely not perfect. way to have a meeting.
Give you just a short, since we're waiting here, give you a short update on what Dave and I listened to Wednesday from that. They had the same problem to start with. They didn't have enough members to vote for that. We should be getting that for the, they're gonna send it to a commission here to vote on some of their stuff. Then we had, what, another hour break shortly after that. And then we got into some good things. Governor Kelly was there for 15 minutes or so, telling what she's done, things she expects. Then we went to later in the afternoon, we went to the road department secretary for transportation. And I didn't catch all of that, but what Bryce was talking about, I did catch some of that. And I was gonna have to find out just exactly what all she said, because she did have some good information on our roads and things that's going, programs that's going out. And then we did the 3 o'clock vote. I made that one. And Dave, you made the 4 o'clock one, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it was a long day, and not my choice by sitting to right here and watching this thing all day, but
This conference will now be
it's what it
recorded.
is.
Yeah, I had 2 screens, so I could do something else too.
No, I have one.
I cheated.
Okay, meeting's back up. We don't have Deidre, but
I don't have everybody back on
You okay, Lex?
Next year, we're looking for two more people to attend next year.
maybe next year I'll be in person meeting.
It may be in person.
I mean, if we're fortunate to be live.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So if you're on the electronic meeting, you know that we had a glitch with our internet, and it is back up now. So I believe the chairman hearing is just waiting for people to get back on.
I think we had 12 before, so I'm just trying to make sure we get close to that.
And I just got a text from IT that was citywide. We lost internet citywide.
There's more.
Ready for my gig to show up at my house. I've already got TCT lined up. People up there at camp have gotten all the good stuff. Yeah.
If I see a special locate for you over there at your house, I'm gonna check it out just to make sure.
You make sure you do.
See if you're not getting special attention over there.
I know, right?
You're rerouting.
At least you got a new street to get to this house.
Oh, yeah, you got that.
Yeah, I think it was rated the worst street in Hillsborough.
You living on it, what do you expect?
Yeah.
No.
We're back to 11, so I think minus Deidre.
She probably moved on.
She may not have heard Diane's question.
And I had another one too, so I guess.
Okay.
I'll see if I can reach her. Maybe she can get back on.
Well,
I just text her to see if she can get back on.
It'll be too much going forward to ask our department heads to attend live
We should. That would be my opinion.
going forward.
Mhm.
I don't think.
Could we keep on the schedule, you know? So don't spend
Okay.
too much time in the
We're
hallway.
working to get her back on.
Would that be a consensus of the commission that we request that?
I say
I
yes.
could make a motion.
Sitting in the hallway waiting.
It doesn't hurt to sit there for a little while. I mean, that's part of their job.
I just, you know, the efficiency part of it,
No, we're not efficient right now.
right now. But
And
this is,
we may not be going forward either. There's many glitches happening countrywide.
Okay, did you guys have questions?
DJ, just before we got cut off, I had asked you how many actual deaths we had countywide with the COVID.
We have only had one that's counted toward that.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to confirm that because I didn't see that on the dashboard, that particular number, and I was just wanting to make sure that I haven't missed anything. And then I have one other question for you, and this was from when I had called you several days back about the schools. When we have in the schools a case where a staff member actually is tested positive, and then the students are actually quarantined then for 14 days. So my question to you is, and I know you said that you turned that over for the state to do that contact checking. But my question to you is, if, as I understand it, the students are wearing masks and they're behind plastic barriers and so on and so forth. So what protections can we give the students that they don't have to be quarantined because somebody else, because how could they possibly be a contact for all the students when they have all those other protections in place? I mean, I know I had several phone calls and we had talked about this, you and I, from parents that
Right.
were very upset because they follow all the guidelines, they do all these things, they put their students through wearing masks all day, and then built these barriers around them, and then they still have to be quarantined. So how is that actually effective, and what is the thinking behind that?
Well, the wearing of masks, it does prevent some of the spread, but the types of masks that are used does not get anyone out of quarantine. Now, I will tell you, there are some counties and some school districts outside of this county that if students have masks on, they are not having to quarantine them.
Mm-hmm.
that should be the way it should be.
That's right.
Otherwise, they
I
don't
mean-
take them off the kids. Otherwise,
Yeah.
why you
That's
make them
just
wear
it.
Okay, so here's kind of, the reason we don't do that is you see that in other facilities where people do wear masks, it's not necessarily like healthcare providers have a certain grade of masks that they use, and they're deemed essential workers. So they don't have to quarantine.
But did you see,
The-
I'm sorry, my point is, okay, all this mask wearing, and so by what I'm getting from what you're saying, I understand the quality in masks. So we're actually taking masks that are ineffective, mandating people to wear them, i.e. our students, knowing that they're not effective. I mean, what seriously are we doing here? To me, it seems like a lot of waste of money and frustration, and all this type of stuff. I mean, I understand wearing masks if in fact masks are going to be a protectant, but just to go through the procedure and say, oh my God, okay, so we're wearing masks. It's like an unfunded mandate that we're putting on parents and the schools and the taxpayers, and what are we getting for it? We're just as if we didn't wear a mask. So it just seems to me like we're chasing our own tail, And we're going through this, we're like sheeple, you know, you're just doing exactly what you're told to do, whether it makes any sense or not. And I'm just getting a lot of phone calls from parents in that particular situation that were very upset by that. And I'm just wondering what we need to do to become a little bit more sensible in what we're doing, especially in our schools.
Well, I think, like we have mentioned from the very beginning, a lot of this is individual responsibility. And, you know, there have been studies, and I'm not going to even go into that because I've done it before, studies, there's meta-analysis been done over and over again that masks are effective in slowing the spread. They never have they said they will totally eliminate it, because if that's the case, we wouldn't see it. So, you know, the school boards have the authority to adopt or mandate what they feel is appropriate for their schools. I will tell you, we have schools that are having students in modified quarantines, and that's allowing them to, a group who are quarantining together can attend school together in class. So I think it's time that people just be creative. You know, you also have to consider there are parents out there who do feel like the masks are the way to go. And we have parents that won't send their, if they have a child that's positive in the classroom, they won't send their students.
Well,
So we have to look, and I don't want to shut down schools, and I don't plan to. I mean, I think we need to have creative ways to help prevent it. The best way is stay home when you're sick.
And I don't
You know,
agree.
what
I don't disagree at all with that. I mean, that's just basic. You learn that when you're in first grade. If you're sick, you stay at home. You know, and I was just questioning with what I was saying about the parents by doing everything that they were told to do, and then their students are still taken out of school. Was just my question to you as to why that happens. That's all.
One thing on the mask
Okay.
thing though is anybody that is at risk or feels they are at risk, please put on an N95 mask. Because
Yeah,
that
put one on that's
protects
more effective.
yourself.
Mhm.
And that's what you need to do. I mean, if you're at risk, you need to protect yourself.
And that goes
But
back to what we said too. as
with
far as-
an N95 mask, I would encourage you to only wear those if you've been fit tested for them.
Right.
Because just because they say N95 on it does not mean that they fit you. We have several employees here at the health department. We tried 7 different masks and they failed. So, you know, we do have to be aware that the medical workers have been fit tested with it. So don't just go out and buy an N95 mask. Also, if you're the person that's infected, an N95 mask does not protect anyone around you.
Exactly.
It only protects you. So.
And I'm not here to relitigate the mask thing, because we've done that multiple times already. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to point out that we still have a lot of flaws in our efforts to stop this spread, even though people are adhering to the rules that were set.
Well,
So-
I think we gotta get one thing straight. We're not gonna stop the spread.
No, we're not.
We need to
No.
remember that the goalpost moved to stop the spread. It's not, it's slow the spread.
That's right, or even slow the spread. You don't even know if it's slowing the spread. We're assuming it is, but we don't really know that it is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Deidre, for answering my questions.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, Deidre, I just had one, and I know you can, there's only so much information you can give out, but I noticed last week, when we had a large number that one day, the prior week, that was a large number was attributable to a large gathering. Was the one last week attributed to a large gathering?
We have numerous cases are related, they're related some way or another, whether it be a facility, an event. So when you see those large numbers, that's often what they are coming out of. Now, I do know that some counties around the state are starting to put mass gathering orders. At this point, I don't foresee that in the near future for us unless you guys decide to put a mass gathering order. I think people just need to be responsible, use common sense. And businesses, you might consider, if you have employees that work close, that you consider the mask. Now, I know as a commission you aren't for masks, but studies have shown that does reduce the spread. It doesn't get you out of quarantine, but it does reduce the spread.
Yeah, they're back and forth on all that.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys can talk
I
about
do
that.
want to let you know that on KDHE's website, they do list out like clusters, but like businesses or events or facilities you have to have 5 or more to be listed on there. And oftentimes that doesn't show up right away because the investigations do take a little bit of time. It's just not usually one phone call.
Well, I think without going too much further, we're
Need to
just
move
gonna,
on?
yeah. Does
Yeah,
anybody else
that's
have
fine.
any other?
If you have any questions, just call me.
All right.
Everybody be careful.
Yeah. Thank you, Deidre.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty. Well, we have the Spark grant approvals. Everybody had a chance to look through the Word review. I think Rusty was on, if we'd like to talk, or Christine, either one is on the.
No, I'm only here to answer questions, so I'm glad to answer questions that anybody would have, or try to at least.
Okay, Rusty, this is Randy. I just like to ask, I see that the VFW and some of them in Hillsborough, how did they qualify and what did they qualify for?
The VFW would have qualified under the nonprofit grant allocation program, and I have to look up exactly what they turned in, but examples of things that any business or nonprofit could qualify with would be loss of revenue, direct expenses related to COVID, like cleaning supplies and things like that. Another example of how of costs that can be eligible would be if there were employees that had been assigned work that was directly related to COVID mitigation or planning. And so those, I think, were the 3 most common, with frankly the one most common would be loss of revenue. And I'm pretty sure the VFW had indicated they could prove loss of revenue. And just as an additional point on that, these amounts are maximum amounts. In order to actually get those amounts of money, these organizations will have to submit documentation that will go to the accounting firm to be vetted, and then eventually to you guys' table for actual distribution, approval of the distribution of the funds.
Okay, so if any of these names up here, they'd have to prove they are an organization, they'd have to have an organizational name or just a checkbook to show you?
They have to have a EIN number, and they've provided that on the front end.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
My pleasure, you're welcome.
So if, Rusty, so if all these funds went out, are the grant for the profit, nonprofit maxed?
Yes, it accounts within just the formulas that we use, Jonah, account for just within a few dollars of the exact amounts that were allocated for businesses and nonprofits respectively. We actually anticipate that not only in these two areas of the overall Spark program, but in some others, that not all the funds will get used. We anticipate that. And so the task force is going to begin working this week on a plan that would amend what we've allocated so far and reallocate it to other projects. So for example, one thing that was mentioned, among others, I might add, so the task force doesn't have a proposal on this yet that's official, but one thing that was mentioned, and I think this came as a result of what we were hearing you all had some concern about, was if we have some leftover funding that doesn't get used, should we amend our overall plan and use some of that to help the long-term care facilities with their testing needs, as an example of how we might reallocate some funds that don't get used.
I think that's awesome.
Okay, Rusty, this is Dave. You might explain the number of employees had something to do with the interracial, how you divvied up the money.
Thanks, Dave. Be glad to. After a lot of discussion, what we arrived at were kind of 5 factors that that came into play for how we divided up the money, which is what Dave's referring to. Each of these 5 factors received the same amount of weight. Number of full-time employees in the organization, number of full-time equivalent jobs saved, number of full-time equivalent jobs created, number of people served, number of people served that are disadvantaged. And then from that, we created a 10-point score, a maximum of 10 points. So 1 to 10 points in each of 5 categories. And then once we calculated each organization's score, we determined what percentage of the total score each organization represented, and that was the percentage of the allocation that that organization then was going to be receiving. And then of course, after we calculated that, we had to go through and see, well, what did they ask for, and if was what they asked for actually eligible to be reimbursed. And yeah, we spent probably about 15 hours on that process. So we feel pretty good about it. It's certainly not a perfect system, but I tested it with multiple people inside and outside our task force, just in terms of a foundational approach, and it received a lot of affirmation, I guess I would say. So we feel pretty confident about it. Dave, is that a good summary, or did I miss something that you had in mind?
Yes, I just want the commission to be aware of how much work went into it, and tried to be fair. You know, I feel it as fair as we can get. There's no good way to divvy out money fairly.
Yeah, thank you.
You can justify it, 98% of it. You did a great job, thank you.
Yeah, with hearing all that, I mean, does this require a motion, right?
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the grant approvals under the Spark team's recommendation for the business's profit and nonprofit.
Second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. All right, thanks for being on there, Rusty.
One of Rusty's shorter meetings.
And I would like to say, I think the commission, whether we say it or not, Rusty, we appreciate everybody that spent time on this to help us out with this. So
Yeah.
I think they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'll pass that along to everyone. It's really been a pleasure to work on it. And there's still work to do, and we'll keep plugging away, and anybody can feel free to reach out to me with questions or if I can help in any way at any time. So, yeah, appreciate your support. Blessings, everybody.
Yeah, really, thank you. All right. So. This time we have department head evaluation. So I move that we recess in executive session in order to discuss personal matters, non-elected personnel for evaluation for 15 minutes. The board, Josh, pursuant to KSA 75-4319.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, so we will be back at 10:37.
I know.
Good changes.
Well, at least you had a short nap. At least you had a short nap.
Yeah.
Don't go too far.
I'll do that.
Our legal counsel will be here, as far as you know.
I believe so. Yeah.
Randy. The other, first.
Okay.
See, I'm my vice chair.
Don't we do this?
No.
This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, that'll make no difference, because it's two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. Back on. Is anybody there? Yeah, Laura's there. Okay, I've got the press here. Gotta make sure the press is here. So, yes, out of executive session, no action taken. This time, we got a salary change for Josh Hausemann. Reed HHW and transfer station. From $3,200 a month to $3,501 a month. 6-month review. Moving up all the step process.
only got two here.
Yeah, the other one I added there.
We added in the beginning.
Josh. Yeah.
So, this time, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 1, personal matters and non-elected personnel, personal performance for
10 or 15, yeah.
15 minutes with the board, Josh, pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Second. Second by Randall. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
So we'll be back at 10:55.
I got this one written down, so I forgot you last time.
Yeah, I did too.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. This time, I'll make a motion. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 1, personal matters of non-elected personnel, for personal performance, or another 15. Are we gonna go shorter, or are we gonna? I'll go 15. 15 minutes with the board.
Take 3 minutes.
Brad, Randy, pursuant to KSA 75-4319. Second by Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a moment, Commissioner. You missed discussion? You missed discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, when you make a motion, you have to have discussion.
Oh, was there any discussion?
Yes, there is. I'd like this to be an open meeting.
Okay.
I have that right.
Okay.
He does.
Want to veto?
Withdraw your motion.
Withdraw the
Well,
motion.
or you can, if you wish to have an executive session dealing with personnel matters, specific personnel, and go in and discuss anything that you felt like you wanted to, you can do that as well. If the employee chooses not to be involved in that, or you choose not to have the employee, we have that right. But if the employee then is to any element he wishes having discussed, as long as it doesn't relate to some other need for privacy, just related to him, he can waive that and have his portion in open session.
Okay. So we can still pursue the.
You can still have an executive if you so choose.
Board. We have the executive on the table. We want to
I
go
have
through
no
with it.
need, I have no need for an executive. I don't care which way to go. I'm not pushing for executive.
I'm fine with it if he wants to have an open one. We can always have we can have an executive session later.
Okay.
So since they made a motion to go in, what do they do now?
You need to go ahead and vote it down.
Okay, I make a motion to vote down the executive session with Randy, Brad, and the board.
I would second that.
Second with Randy. All the, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So, we're open.
Tell everybody to come back in there.
Huh?
Tell them all to come back in.
She's in here. We're good.
Go ahead. He wants to answer.
Phyllis. Come in.
We went to open session.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, the reason why I called for this was DOP. And I understand it needed to be redacted and stuff like that, but I just don't understand why it took so long to get it. And then it appears the day before last meeting, when we were gonna have this original executive. And it just seemed like without not forcing the issue, it wasn't getting done. And just wanted to feel that out. What happened there?
Sure, before the last meeting, I got a message from Jerry saying she wanted to have an executive session. I told her that I had already conference calls planned at that time. And we bounced times back and forth, and she said, come over when you finally get done. And I did, and you guys were already done.
Well, I get that. I'm talking about the EOP not being
Oh.
available to those that have asked for it until the day before.
It took 3 weeks. to
Yeah,
get
it took a long time, and things have been asked for quite a few times, and it just seems like it never got produced until you were getting called to the room.
That's not quite correct. Okay, let's go back to the very beginning of this entire thing, okay? You've jumped in the middle of it, let's go to the beginning, okay? Mr. Rory, back on September 2nd, requested a copy of the EOP, sent me an email for it, and I can share all these emails with you when this is done. He requested the EOP, I asked him what he was looking for. He said that he was looking for a copy of the County Emergency Operations Plan because it referenced it in his plan. Didn't know they even had a plan. Last conversation I had with anyone from Hillsborough was their plan was so out of date that there wasn't really an active plan and wasn't there. So anyhow, I asked him again, what part of the plan are you looking for so I can help you fix this? And he says, he kept going back saying that multiple times in his plan it says it refers to the emergency operations plan for the county. And I said, Anthony, what instructions are you looking for? And then he says, I don't really know how I can make this any clearer. We'll just delete this reference to the plan and go a different route. And then I asked him, can I help you? Just call, set up a meeting. And then Mr. Becker sends me an email, says he's had a conversation with Mr. Rory. And again, I explained to Mr. Becker about the reason for the plan. The plan has some sensitive information in it, and it's not for the general public. It's designed, the plan has strategic and tactical information in it for emergency responders to respond to keep them safe. Because the plan was open just to the general public, and you were in emergency services at least 20 years ago. You probably remember when people were setting up secondary devices to hurt firemen and the police. That's the whole reason it's not a popular plan to be put out in the public. That's the reason for that. So I'm asking these questions, trying to find just what is it you really need so I can help you. And Mr. Becker and I, we have a couple of emails back and forth. We talked about it. I explained it to Mr. Becker, told him what was going on. And then he says, oh, we didn't know that. And I assumed that when he said we, he was talking about Mr. Rory as well. So then I sent Mr. Rory a second email saying, hey, if you want to talk about this, call me, set up a meeting, and we'll talk about it. So I contacted him twice. After that conversation, he still hasn't responded to me today, even to today, wanting a meeting. And then I went over and visited with this city manager, congratulated him for his new job, and said, hey, I understand you're trying to revamp your plan. I said, if Mr. Rory wants any help, have him call me, we'll do this. And I said, and I'll even give you a plan that I use, it's a fill-in-the-blank plan that I use as a consultant, and I'll give it to the city to use. Just fill in the blanks and you've got a good plan. Still haven't heard anything from him. Then Tina sends me an email September 14th, 8:52 p.m. saying she's received an opens request for the plan, and I asked her for a copy of the request so I know exactly what they're asking for. And she sends it to me, and I did it. And then she says, just following up on the 16th, she says, just following up on this, where are we at on this? And on the 17th, I said, let's see, I told her, please advise when Mr. Rory has paid the fee for the public records request. And here's the time that I spent on redacting the plan, and it was this many pages. Whatever the cost is per page that we charge, I don't know what those costs are. And I left that up to her. But still, I have yet to receive an email from Tina saying, please send the plan. And that was part of my email. When he does it, when he pays this, I'll give you the plan so you can have it. Have the plans. It's not that we're trying to keep it from him. I want to make sure the county was taken care of. Just trying to protect the county. Let's see. Then she sent me another email on the 17th. No, I think that was the same day. Then Mr. Jantz got involved. I assume she contacted Mr. Jantz. And he sends me an email, given the types of requests, and talks about the different requests and things like that, and methodology and everything else. And then he says, if you want to talk more about this, please advise. And we talked on the phone, and we had a conversation, we talked about that. And then Mr. Jan sent me another email on October 4th, saying, good morning, basically after further looking into this, I think it would be best to provide a full and an unredacted copy, which Tina did receive both, of these things. Mr. Jantz and I, we talked back and forth several times. There must have been a communications issue, because in one of his last emails, he said, sorry for the confusion, please provide the plans. And then I walked the plans over to Tina that day. So I wasn't trying to stall him. I was going through the proper channels and trying to get this accomplished and keeping the county safe.
No, just a question on the redacted plan and why. I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen the redacted piece. I think I'm able to see the full piece too.
I made all copies for Tina.
But I just say I haven't even seen it redacted, so I'm just trying to figure out why it wasn't readily available.
Because in 7 years, he's the first person to ask for it. That's why it wasn't readily available.
There is reports, Randy, that we can find these plans all over the nation for any town. So
You can find money. Go on, sorry.
So my question would be, why would we not have it readily available sitting right? Well, we used to have it, it's not there no more. We used to have all of our emergency plans and everything right around the black cabinet there, and all that kind of stuff for any of us to see.
I can provide you for it. I've never been asked for one, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
In 7 years, I've never been asked for one.
Yeah.
I've never asked for one.
And Tina has both of them. She has redacted, she has a full copy.
Well, I mean, our department's supposed to be, at least our department head's supposed to be prepped on the EOP as far as what their positions are, what they need to do.
We have conversations about it. We talk about
Our department heads don't have that plan in their department.
Department heads have portions of the plan that discuss what they do. Okay, that they have access to it if they want it. Again, you know, they haven't asked for it.
But I mean, it seems to me like thing's kind of been a secretive thing, and to me, it ought to be public.
The piece the department heads should be involved in is the COOP plan, which many of our department heads have failed to do.
Mm-hmm. And I do know that's a fact.
That's the plan that they will operate on, is their COOP plan.
And I do know that Randy had put out emails to the various department heads, and you have some that have not done anything or anything. I know in one of our commission meetings, Tina made a statement that, well, she's working with the department heads with it because their departments kind of run together. And so I didn't say anything, but I thought, well, maybe she's taking control of that now. Because she said, like here in the courthouse, one department relies on another department, and so they're working on it together.
Yeah, but Tina didn't even have one.
That's not
Well,
correct.
he's talking about the COOP plan now.
Tina has access to the COOP plan because she was setting the training in this room.
Yes, I remember that very well.
We had training for all department heads in here to teach them how to do it. I gave them their passwords and their access codes. They all have it. What they've done with them, I don't know. But we had the training right here in this room.
So shouldn't every city have a copy of it? Every school district have a copy of it?
If they request it, they can certainly have it. They're not required to have it. In the government entities, county level is the lowest level for required to write an emergency operation plan. County level is the lowest level. Cities are not required. We encourage them to write it, okay? But they should have a plan that will dictate on how they will take care of issues within their city limits. We encourage them to do that. But a county plan is the lowest that the federal government will see, the state government. It's the lowest level. But we encourage them to do it.
How do you encourage that, Randy?
I've gone to fire chiefs, police chiefs, city managers, cities that have managers, and I've offered to give them this plan that I used. I said, here, just fill in the blanks, guys. Change the names. Something I used when I did consulting work. It's an approved plan through FEMA. It's a simple plan. You just go in there, fill in the blanks, and make a few changes on names, because people I wrote it for don't work here.
It is concerning to me, because I've heard from a couple department heads that said that they can't get it. It was deemed classified. And it just, and yeah, maybe the overall document is, you know, but the redacted version shouldn't be.
They haven't asked for it. This is the first time I've been asked for this plan since I've been here.
And then as far as the Cooper plan goes, I mean, I feel like it's almost like somebody needs to be taking care of it, and then somebody else needs to be taking care of it, and it's the merger isn't happening.
The COOP plan is a department-specific plan. I can't tell you who is mission essential in Tina's office, for example, since she's here. I can't tell you who's mission essential that has to be there during an event, like our pandemic right now. Remember at the beginning of this, we sent people home and did things? I couldn't have told you who they were going to send home. Department heads have to do that, and that's why they have to write their own COOP plan. That all rolls into one big plan for the county. But again, department heads have failed to do that. And this was a couple of years ago that we had this training. I can't dictate what a department head does. I don't have that authority. I can't do that. But I provided them the information, I provided them the training.
And I also have some emails to where he had sent out to department heads and nothing. They just failed to do anything.
I'm not trying to pick on you, Randy. I'm just
No,
saying.
no, I'm just giving the facts.
Just in the name of your department is emergency management.
And I provided that resource and the opportunity, but the department heads have not taken it.
But I would feel
I can't force them to do
stay
it.
on top of them.
I can't force them to do it. I don't have that authority.
So I know he's asked.
We're all on the same
times.
level here. I can't do that.
But, I mean, when people are thinking about an emergency, they're going to think that it's your fault it's not done.
No, it truly it's the fault right here. Because department heads work for you. This is where it's at.
And you know, it is our fault to make sure that the department heads don't do it, because he's asked several times. I've seen the email.
They do it.
They have not done the COOP.
No, I'm saying,
I'm
you
talking
said
about
that
the
they
COOP
don't
plan.
do it. We.
They have not, a lot of
do
department
do it.
heads have not done the COOP plan.
Never mind. There was a
Well,
misword in there, and I'm just trying to clarify it.
There are 3 departments that have a COOP plan. I'm one of them, obviously. The sheriff has one, and public health has one. They're the only ones that have been completed. Yes, Randy.
Yeah.
But when a city asks for a comp, when they're trying to redo theirs because they know it's antiquated, and they want something to follow,
A lie.
I mean, why wouldn't we just give it to them?
It's 2 different worlds. City plan is here, our plan is here. It's 2 different structures. Ours is at a higher level plan than theirs will be. Theirs will be very detailed on what happens, you know, fireman this, fireman that, police officer this. I won't write that in my plan, okay, because I don't control the cities. Right? So their plan will be more detailed, and mine's at a higher level than theirs. They're 2 different
Well, I don't
plans.
think that they meant to copy it. I think they wanted a format to follow. You know, and what kind of got to me, Randy, is when he tells me, well, I can just go to the former county I was at and get theirs.
He could, but it's a county level plan that's not detailed enough for what a city needs.
No, but they may be able to, I mean, it's like anything, when you're starting out on something, I'd like to have a format.
Then Commissioner, why hasn't he answered my call to make a call and come see me? I've invited him 3 times to come sit in my office, and we will talk about this.
Good question. What's the answer?
Well,
I'm reaching out to this guy, saying, please, I'll help you.
you haven't reported to us in the 7 years that not everybody has done that, or just give us an email, because we are the ones that can make our department heads do something. But I think the whole thing gets down to, you put it out there, Randy, you give guidance, you help, and at least that's what I want out of you, is I want you to spend, if it takes a week over with the City of Hillsborough, if it takes a week with City of Marion, if they need some help, that's what I expect myself. Whatever they need to, because their plan's gonna fall under our plan, and it's gotta mix in somewhere, because if they have a tornado, or any town has a tornado in there, we gotta know who they are, and they gotta know what we will do, and stuff like that. So, and then who people that you contact when tornadoes happen. And so, it's just a communication deal here that needs to get taken care of. And if it's once a year that you set this on your agenda and say, I've done this, I've done that, I mean, we need to know that because we don't know that. And so that's what I'm saying, is communication. And number one, we want to be helpful to our constituents out there, even though you've tried. And apparently some communication efforts have failed somewhere. So that's I think we just need to express friendliness on both sides here. Of what we'll do for the cities or whatever they need. I mean, but somewhere we need to plan here. She needs it. She's in charge of the county too. That's part of her job is to have that kind of stuff for her. For us. And so we got to work together, and I think that's the whole problem. Even though you've explained you've tried, but that's just been in the last 3 months or September.
Yeah, it's been just a little over a month.
Yeah.
So do you think we should bring on department heads in that have not done a cook plan and
Well, I'd like to know
reinforce
who's
that?
not, and then
I mean,
what
you
is,
said who has, so. we know
right? But
that
now,
who's
if
not.
Tina has a plan for the courthouse, well then that's fine. I
But she
mean,
hasn't completed it yet, as far as I know.
So anyway, that's but we just need to be aware that some of this needs to happen. I don't think it's plugging names in the right places, correct?
The document that I was talking about?
Yeah, your COOP plan and stuff like this.
Well, yeah, the COOP plan too, because
Yeah.
you go through and you identify certain functions that have to be accomplished, who's going to accomplish those.
Right.
And usually do them by
Correct.
position, not names, because names change.
Yeah.
And do that, and it's, and if I need to bring the people back in to do training one more time, I'll call the state and bring them back down here again.
You can't help provide that?
They have all the tools to do it with.
Okay.
And that's why we invited the state here to begin the first time to teach the class. It's their plan, it's their program.
I don't think so. I would make mention of one other thing, and it isn't just with emergency management. We've had several in recent months where individuals decide that they're going to go directly to a department head with an open records request, as opposed to formulating and processing that according to what we really should do. It's a policy matter, like when Randy got that one, what needs to happen needs to be directed to the Freedom of Information Officer, which is your county clerk. She then will request the information. If she has any questions about it, she'll go back to the department head, whomever is providing it for the redactions, all that sort of thing. Ask, like in Randy's case, that he keep track of his time, because she knows how they bill that out. We don't take into account, for example, benefits portions of what their compensation is. I mean, it's a straight hourly thing. That's all set by policy, and that's all something she is very familiar with. We always make sure, or at least I will certainly, when I get the phone call, and I do frequently when she has a question about it, make sure that we get back with the department head in terms of what redactions do you feel are necessary, so that we're sure that that's done. But the whole purpose of that is to have one person responsible for. We got 3 days. We have to respond, and then after that we can extend it. But each time we do that, we're on the hook for it. And as this whole body knows, we've had situations where these individuals then will formulate the complaint, and it goes to the state that we violated, and that's exactly what I want to avoid. So rather than making these department heads feel all that, take their time trying to figure this out when they don't do it all the time, relatively speaking, to a Freedom of Information Officer. What I would like to see is that it does exactly what he complied with ultimately when I asked about this, to send the original and the redacted to the clerk, so that we can honor the request and we can be sure that we have record of, we did it, this is how we did it, this is when we did it, and that we have a defense in that regard. So that's not just with emergency management, that's with everybody. I've had 2 others in the last month go to department heads for some reason. Well, for some reason, I know why this individual citizen thinks, well, that's where it should go, but ultimately it should funnel through here each time.
But on a recovery plan or something like that, Randy, is there any top secret information you can't give out to the county or into the public?
We're talking about 2 plans. We've been talking
Yeah.
about the emergency operation plan, you're talking about the recovery plan.
Okay.
And
Okay.
recovery, there's two different plans. On recovery, no, recovery is long, it's called long-term recovery.
Yeah.
And it deals with all your nonprofit agencies and things like that. No, there's nothing that's
Okay.
sensitive in that at all.
So what plan's top secret that we can't give out to public?
Well, it's not that it's top secret, you know, it has the tactical information. It's the emergency operations plan, the pieces is the annexes and everything else that go with the plan. The basic shell of the plan is fine to go to the public, which is what he received, is the basic shell of the plan. It says, you know, we're gonna accomplish these kind of things and do certain things. It's all the annexes, which gives you the tactical routes on how they're gonna do certain things. That stuff we don't share.
Okay. We're gonna protect the public.
And our first responders.
Okay.
So you're saying that the shell of the plan could go out if somebody wanted to have that?
The redacted copy, yes, because there's some things attached to the basic plan that we're taking out, but the redacted copy, yes. I gave Tina 2 copies, so she'd have a spare one, she gave Mr. Roy one.
Oh, I don't know, we gotta keep going down this road. There's been concerns, we just needed to address them, and that was the only reason for the executive, just to let you know that there are some concerns out there.
And I think in this case is the individual who started this conversation has failed to respond to the invitation to come get help several times.
Well, I've heard some other issues, right? And that's just all, and it was prior to this, so I just, Randy said it correctly, it's communication.
Yeah, and that's what we want. Well, both sides talking here. I mean, it's, and
If the cities want to have individual plans, like I said, it's a Word document, it's a fill in the blank, and I'll be happy to share it with them if you want it. You know, I don't do consulting within my own county anyhow, that's just kind of an ethical issue, you don't do that. But yes, I'll share it.
Well, we can avoid all of these issues just by proper communication.
yeah.
And that goes on both sides.
Sure. Absolutely.
Both people have to be responsible when they ask for something.
Yeah, communications, it's a statement if there isn't on both sides.
Exactly, but.
It's just available online and only in printed form.
What's that?
You send this over the internet, or can you, just in printed form?
The document Mr. Roy got?
Yeah.
It was a printed form. I'm cautious about sending documents in electronic form because now they can be manipulated. A printed form is a printed form. So I try to avoid
Yeah,
that. So, you know, a Word document or Adobe document, they can all be manipulated. So that's why I made him a printed copy and gave it to him. Well, Tina gave it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's a security issue. We're trying to protect the county. Don't want someone to go in there and start changing things around that don't need to be changed.
Anybody else have anything? Do you have anything else, Randy?
Just one thing to bring up to the commission. Next month is my anniversary month. And because of COVID, our friend that we've been dealing with for 8 months now has kept me locked here without being able to take vacation. And I'm going to ask you to pay me my vacation that I'm about to lose, which is a considerable amount because I haven't had vacation all year long. And I get more vacation time on the next pay period. Not the whole thing, just the stuff that it'll be lost.
Sounds reasonable to me.
It's been customary we do this, that we do that, but we need to know that, we need to know this. I mean, I haven't had no emails, I haven't had no contacts at somebody's building and not not take a vacation. I think Deidre took a vacation right in the middle of it. And so.
Deidre took some time off, but she has several nurses working for her.
Yeah, so.
And then the other challenge is too, is that with this pandemic or with any disaster, anytime we require resources or any kind of assets from the state of Kansas, it has to have my signature. The emergency managers are the one that can request it from the state and the federal government, which means I couldn't go away. Because we were constantly ordering supplies and medical kits for the testing and things like that. And as a matter of fact, when I leave here, I'm going to sign another one so we get more supplies.
We got 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Vacation built up.
I think it's about 2. I have to go look at it again. So it's big because I'll get dumped on, you know, the annual amount again. I'd have to go and actually look at that thing, but I know that it'll be over when we get to that point, which is 4 weeks.
I can provide that to you for the next meeting if you'd
Okay,
like.
please, thank you. Do that, take care of it. I have nothing else.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Have a good one. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Gotta figure out who's lying.
What's that?
So I gotta figure out who's lying.
No,
All right, so
It's always part of our job.
Yep.
You'll have to share me how you do that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good to see you again. Yeah. I've seen more of this guy than we have last month.
Getting around.
Different places.
So I had this particular session put on the agenda with the sheriff because of some concerns that we've had up in Ramona. And I have brought this before the commission several times, of course, over the course of the years, about Ramona's concerns that they have up in there. They call themselves the armpit of the county all the time, which I don't like to hear, but that's what they feel like. They have several issues up there, and you know, Ramona's been through a lot of struggles over the years, and the board and the people that live up there are trying diligently to clean it up, make it a nice place for people to live and entice people to live. I know they're active on the share sales because they got several buildings that they've got prospects for and plans for, but they're kind of in limbo again, and that's been going on for over a year.
Saturday.
Yeah, I seen that this morning too. But as far as, I'm thinking, and I'm gonna let them do the talking because I'm kind of the middle person here. But I think as far as the drug problems and other problems that they have, I think they're here to request a little bit more service from our departments to aid them in the safety and well-being of the county and Ramona specifically. And so I will let them do the talking.
Okay.
Could someone turn your microphone around if you're gonna have someone from,
Okay.
because nobody will be able to hear that.
I'll
That
talk to
might be
Sheriff
good.
Kraft.
Yeah, and I'm kind of confused as to why this is, you're getting it. You know, if you have a concern, call me.
You have been called.
We have been there.
In the last 3 weeks, you've only been in our town 2 times. Unless you're coming dirt roads, I got a camera on that intersection. We have called 24 hours later, a police officer showed up. I was informed, well, the best thing you can do is hire your own police department.
I don't know who told you that.
Well, find out who the 2 police officers was that was there the night they arrested Ben Thompson out on the highway. It was a younger guy. I didn't get his name, but he told me that. And if he said different, I'll tell him he's a liar to his face. At one time, you had some of the greatest sheriff department in the world.
And we still do.
There's nobody in this county that don't respect the sheriff department more than I do. When you was elected, you came to our town. You stood up, You promised everything you was gonna do, you was gonna make sure that we had law enforcement up there anytime we needed it. You told a good story. That's the last time you've been in our town.
No, it's not.
What'd you do, drive through?
No.
I sent a request. I'm the mayor there. I called in and made a request for either you or one of your police officers to come to a county commission meeting. I mean, to city council.
I've been to more than one of your city commission
I have not
meetings.
seen you.
How
I have
long?
been on the council,
How long?
and I've been mayor for 12 years.
I've been there multiple times.
I've seen you twice. I've seen you twice.
Okay.
But all we want, even when we were getting, just like our roads, I was so proud. I'm getting ready to leave being the mayor of that town. I'm leaving. I've accomplished everything I wanted to in the 12 years except one thing: clean that town up. I called in, and it should be on your recording. I requested, I said, we just spent $60,000. That don't sound like much to very many people. It does when you don't have no income. We save everything. We've paid cash for everything. I said, could you send a police officer or sheriff officer through our town quite a few times? Nobody's ever seen him. We still have the problem with the same people. You guys know who the problem are.
We do?
One guy is running around town that's got warrant for his arrest that came down from Judge Collett. They told him, now I wouldn't believe the guy, but he's going around telling everybody, a sheriff officer told him, don't worry, we are not going to arrest you. Now, if that's the truth, I would like for the county to refund us all of our tax money back.
Well, I can assure you that is not the truth.
Well, and just like the school, we've called on that.
We've been to that school multiple times.
But nothing's being done.
What is needed for court evidence versus what you and I know is taking place is two different things.
And you and I know
I both know what's going on there.
And you and I both know that's not the only place in that town.
Correct.
But you know, I don't see anybody trying to stop it.
Well, all I can say is my guys are required to be in every community once during their shift.
I will invite
It may be 2 o'clock in the morning, it may be
I will
2
invite
o'clock in the
anybody
afternoon.
to come in there, sit down, look at my camera. It records 24 hours a day. It saves 6 months. I'll invite anybody to come there and look. That's covering Quail Creek and 360th. Now, unless they're coming to Back Road.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going.
But I want more. When we see them in town more and more, yeah, things slow down. But I've got people now, and here's my ordinance officer, here's a council member. I get 10 or 15 calls a day, and I tell every one of them the same thing. Call the sheriff's department.
About what?
Just about everything. Reckless driving. People throwing people off the back of a truck going down the road. What I call criminal damage, tearing up our road. Now, I tell them, call the sheriff's department. You know what I get the answer from? Why? They won't do nothing. Now that is, to me, that hurts me.
Well, I'm apologize or sorry that you feel that way. It's definitely not our intent. And I assure you we are there multiple times throughout the course of business.
Well, Officer Kraft, you can ask any of your police officers, sheriff officers. They are welcome at my house. They've stopped at my house. I've shown them nothing but the highest respect in the world. Usually I joke about everything. This I'm not joking about. It's very serious to me because we've got little kids plays on that road, and that is our that is our biggest deal, that our kids can plan the road. And we got a family of boys that flies around the road 60, 70 miles an hour. And I tell them, we can't do nothing about it. We're not police officers. But they're gonna kill one of them little kids. They're gonna do it. So what do we do?
Because you tell me they drive fast through town, I cannot charge them for that.
I hear that.
And that's the problem. You call us and tell us they're doing this, we get up there, and I've got multiple times when the guys go up there and they don't see anybody moving. I can't arrest them for something that you saw.
David Stats was told, and I brought his name up for a reason, you've got to have proof. He had it on camera. He had the car, the tag, everything. He was told, well, we can't do nothing because we did not see it.
I don't know about that instance. I can't attest to that instance.
Well, I'm not trying to cut you off, Bill, but just people on the meeting asked, so it's Sheriff Robert Kraft and Bill Alcorn that have been talking back and forth, just so people on the virtual meeting can know who's been talking. They're cut off from the screen pretty well.
And I was glad to continue this with Mr. Alcorn.
Yeah,
and I have no issue with that. And I assured him that Ramon is getting.
Well, I do know our city attorney is going to be setting up a meeting with you. That came up at the last court. And they would like to get this all straightened out between you, Mr. Bina, and Mr. Collin.
I'll be more than happy to meet with all of them.
They was waiting for you to get back on your feet.
Back.
Don't break it getting out of the car again. But
Well,
no,
quite the case,
I'd
but
be
it-
more than happy to talk to you.
And I too with you, and I assure you that in no way Ramona is purposely or officially neglected or not responded to.
Can I say something?
Yes.
What you're talking about is it's a county-wide problem. I live in the middle of Marion, of the city of Marion. Within 3 blocks of my home, I got at least 2 drug houses that everybody knows about, but they can't do a damn thing about it, excuse my French, because they can't catch them in the act. But they got them on camera, the city knows about it, the county knows about it. But, I mean, they have caught a couple of them, but it's a long, slow process because criminals have more rights than you and me.
And I realize that, and
So you're not being neglected.
I realize the sheriff department, the police departments, and the one especially, like the chief of police of Harrington, he went strictly busted drug addicts. They take them to Abilene, they throw their ass in jail, they let them out, and guess where they come?
They beat them back home, don't they?
No, they come to Ramona.
Yeah.
I get them all.
You need to get rid of the housing that they,
Do we play vigilante or something, or?
No.
No.
I can't say that out loud.
No.
Well, we couldn't get rid of the housing because we couldn't get it on the tax roll.
I mean, the city of Florence is tearing down houses to.
I know about Florence, I just sold my last house down there. But
It's
no,
just-
it just
It's a problem everywhere.
Okay.
And the criminals have more rights
Randy.
than you and me.
Randy.
Rob,
Yes.
different issues, but somewhat trying to improve contacts and communications. He says you ain't been there and stuff like that. The 2 issues that's come up to me within the last 6 months has been people call in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or night or even in the daytime, and an officer never calls them back. That's a duty officer that just says, thank you, we've taken care of it, or been there, we didn't find nothing, or something like that. Is that above and beyond?
No, and normally if people request a callback, we will give them one. If they don't request a callback.
Okay, this person didn't do that.
we're
I
not
know both of them
necessarily-
said they didn't request one.
We're not necessarily gonna call them at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I don't know that they would want to be called. but if they request a callback, we always call back.
Okay, that's a good answer for me to give to him, Rob, because I said, well, and one of them was about a car sitting right beside on the next door lot that hadn't had a car on it for 10 years, and they wake up and they leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was a car sitting beside them. They was worried about their own house, and so they was sort of expecting, like, and they knew the officer wasn't going to get there. The dispatch told them they was busy somewhere else at that time in the morning, but they would make sure they got down there. But they never got a call back, and they said, all I want to know is just make sure that they did check it out. That's all they wanted to know.
Well, I mean,
but I didn't.
If they want to call back, ask us.
Okay.
I have no problem doing that.
On the same token, is there anything against them calling you and asking, you know,
calling the sheriff's office?
Yeah, the sheriff's.
No.
And asking, well, did you check on that, you know, or whatever, and would you be able to tell them at that?
No, I don't want to spend all day on the phone.
Right.
Answering.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Just because they didn't ask for a call back, that they
call
can't
up.
create the call back.
They can call back and ask.
Yeah.
Well,
I think people just need, people need to be cognizant that when they call in, you know, instead of just expecting a call back, say, I'd like to have a call back. And it all comes back to communication. We've been talking about communication
all day.
a lot.
It's been a theme of the day.
And communication is
now,
key.
favor me, Trev, a lot of times I've called in at night and they said, well, it'll be quite a while before I can get an officer there, or if we can't even get one there, because they're in the south end of Marion County, and we've only got one officer. Why do we only have one sheriff officer at night? Marion is a big ass county. Why just one?
Unless there's been shortages.
We have typically 2 schedules every night. Now, I can't guarantee you that if somebody's sick or on vacation that there's going to be 2, but on the schedule every day there's 2 planned to be out.
There is some nights there's 3, because.
And how many sheriff officers do you have?
Counting myself is 11. Well, excuse me, 10.
Why can't you run 3 at night?
Because we're busy in the daytime as well. I have
Crooks
two
work at night, though.
Not always, and we have many other things that we have
I
to
know
deal
you've
with.
got a lot of deer wrecks right now, things
Got
like
a lot
that
of things we
too.
have to respond to. I have two in the day, 2 at
All right.
night.
I'm gonna have to settle this one down. I had one more thing since Robert is here. I heard something about not knowing who is in jail. And I thought that was supposed to be public knowledge, and there was some.
It is, you can get on our website and see who's in jail at any time.
Okay. And if they're no longer there, is there no way to find that information?
Not on our jail program, our jail through the internet. It used to give the program that we have used to give, you know, you could look back to see who was in there yesterday, and this one just gives you at that moment. It was updated a few weeks, months ago, kind of like Windows 10. When it updates, we're stuck with the updates.
Right.
Whether we like it or not.
Is it a concern that they're trying to patch or fix, or
No.
it's just, this is the way it's going to be?
It just is. That's the way they, when they upgraded the program a while back, that's the way it ended up coming out. And many counties are in the same situation, and that's what it boils down to. But yes, you can look on there and see who's in there at any given moment.
Right.
And see what they're.
But if they bond out, I mean,
If they
it's
bond
pretty
out,
slim
then they will not be on there.
at all.
No.
Okay.
Not past today. Not past that day.
So, Mr. Kraft, I want to ask you a question I just thought of. We've had over the course of months several rural burglaries, old farmhouses and things like that. So are we making any progress on apprehending those people? Because
We have arrested some folks for some burglaries and some thefts and.
Good.
I've noticed that the burglars have cut down, and that tells me that those individuals have been
And in fact, we had a pickup and trailer full of stolen property that we took to the county lake to try and find the owners of everything. We knew some of it belonged to individuals, but there were some that we did not know exactly who the individual. We had an idea, but
Doesn't it just drive you nuts to know that they're out there and there's very little you can do?
it does.
I mean, I know as a citizen, it does me. It
does.
just really gets me torqued.
It does, and we have, 1% of the population that does it. 95% of the.
So I can't
of the
imagine
crime.
what it'd be like to be a sheriff, to know that you're out there to do that job, and you can't really do that job. I mean, it's gotta just be very frustrating.
Well, I have to say, I have empathy for the sheriff's department, because I'd hate to be an officer that worked and worked and worked to build a case on somebody, just to have the court let them back out quickly.
Exactly.
And they're right back where they were. So I have a lot of empathy for you.
We
that-
arrested a
problem
couple
with that
of
is-
individuals 6 or 7 times for possession of stolen property.
That's what we do with the illegals.
Within probably a 2-month period.
Well, and then, I know everybody wants to be a nice guy, and I appreciate everything you do, and I'm just saying that the people that are trying to be nice, let these guys back out, whatever, don't realize that they actually might be putting their lives in danger. Because if people feel like the system doesn't work, we're gonna have worse issues. So we need to make sure that they understand that for those individuals, their safety, they probably shouldn't be able to bail out quite so easy if they're repeat offenders.
Yeah, and I would say in law enforcement, you don't wanna be a nice guy. I mean, you
Well-
can't be a nice guy. I
You
mean, let's face it.
have to be a nice guy,
Yeah.
until the time comes when I don't necessarily. There's two different.
Well, don't be a nice guy.
You have to be a nice guy until it's time not to be a nice guy.
Exactly.
News.
So,
Yeah, okay.
Robert, I wanna go ahead and cut this off, but
okay,
thank you
I
for
have
your
a couple
time.
things while we're here.
Oh.
that-
Okay,
that I put
as
together.
far as the discussion part, if you would like to update, that is fine.
One thing I'd like to discuss is, we had a building on the,
Yeah, PB building?
yeah, whatever you call that. I guess where I'm at is, we need a building over there, another storage building like we've got out back, a little bigger like we had intended that we were gonna share with the emergency manager. My question is there any movement on creating that building over there in that spot like there was at one time that we could utilize? Or, I guess I would like to go ahead and proceed and at least see about putting a building back there that we could use for what we had intended to do so.
I think it'd be beneficial to check into multi-purpose, right? I mean, there's a lot of county needs that could all be sufficed through one big building.
It's been on
Right.
the radar for a long time.
Yeah, that's my
Rather than-
concern. It's been multiple years and since it was first brought up, and I'm kind of asking, can we proceed one way or the other?
Well, I know that the need is great throughout, not just sheriff's department, but the other departments also.
But up here, right above us.
Yep.
I mean, courthouse up here in the attic is too heavy, too loaded, and we've taken lots out of there, but there's a bunch more to come out of there. We've got storage over in Hillsborough that we're paying rent on. We're paying rent up here for the Deidre's building up here. We're paying rent across the street over here. Rent costs you money. I mean, I don't care, when you sign those 3 and 4 year contracts, well, that's a pretty good hunk of money, especially up north at the hospital. So, I think one of us need to, or all of us need to sit down and say, we're gonna put something together that someday is gonna be paid for and not have to pay rent. I mean, to me, rent is not a good thing. That lot's ready to build on, as big a building as you almost want. The size that we was gonna put up was 80 by 90, with a 50-foot left on the south end in case there was Deidre's office or something that was gonna be that could be brought into a building like that. We had 50 more feet, 50 by 80 that could be added on. So that was just the first size was 80 by 90. With doors on the north end for storage and things like that, for all records. The attorney, they've got to be so many years kept, 5 years or lifetime, some of them.
Registered deeds,
Yeah,
lifetime.
registered deeds, things like that. That's just something, thank you, Rob, for bringing it up again, because I've tried. I had 300,000 saved back for a while, but it went somewhere else. And then, so, we need to get our heads together.
I was just thinking that, we need something for us. And if that's gonna happen, then that'd be great. If it's not gonna happen, then I would like to proceed with another storage building such as we have to facilitate us.
Is that 30,000? Is that what it was, 33,000 or something?
Roughly 30, but
labor,
it's
and
80 for the building, and then the concrete
Creates.
and the labor. Now, if Road and Bridge put the last one together, if Road and Bridge puts it together, and I'm not saying they have time to do it or not, I don't have any idea. I mean, there's a substantial savings on that.
That
And
size-
there is some building fund left from the jail project that could be utilized for that on that property.
Sure, you were thinking about a building about the size that had been proposed earlier.
Roughly the size proposed, and if we're going to, share it with, emergency management, because they've got room, and we've got every door you open got a wall of stuff in it.
Stuff that could be stored outside with that would not,
Majority of it, a
will
lot
not
of it.
deteriorate.
Not all
Wouldn't
of
that
it,
be
but
climate controlled?
some of it would, and that would stay inside, but some of it does not.
Just based on everybody else's needs too, that should, consolidated funds into one big building would be something we should pursue first.
Be most cost effective.
That's my personal opinion.
I don't want the Taj Mahal, I just want a steel building that's gonna be there for 50 years without
You
maintenance.
can build secure areas in,
Yeah.
so, anyway.
Just information, we just sold a pickup, AAA. Received $6,000, sold a Mitsubishi that was asset forfeiture for $1,750. That goes into a special asset forfeiture fund that the state is funded. We are looking at a second canine. We think there's a use for it. Mr. Alcorn has adamantly agreed or believes there's a drug problem, and we do too. Therefore, we have approached adding a second canine, which would be on the opposite shift of what I have a canine on now. I have a canine out 50% of the time now on the one shift, and going to put one out to cover the other 50% of the time, so that individual isn't getting called at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the officer would already be out. I think it would be on a night shift, predominantly. But without, wouldn't have to have an officer, but an officer that's ready to do that. And that would be partially funded with asset forfeiture, such as the Mitsubishi and other forfeiture projects. So just kind of the knowledge there.
Did the tip trailer and everything leave, or is it?
I'm sorry?
Did the tip trailer and that you had over there for 6 months, did it leave? Did you sell it? Wasn't it a trailer?
No, we haven't sold out because we can't get a title for that yet, so it's still in limbo, working on, there's 2 trailers over there that, those were basically found property. One of them was stolen, but we believe was stolen, but we can't trace it back because there's no VIN number on it yet. The individual we took it from said it was stolen, we believed him. Other articles there were. So therefore, there's no VIN number. We're having trouble tracing that back. Highway Patrol has looked at it. We can't come up with the VIN, so there's another option that we have to go to get a title to legally and get the court to legally release that to the sheriff's office. Right now, it's just there.
But it's, can be done and
Yes.
will be done.
That's the plan.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing else.
I do want to bring up and just jail salaries. We're down 2 jailers right now. Part of it's because of pay. At $13 an hour, they can't pay for their family and health insurance, and so I really want to take a look at the jail salaries and bring those people up to a decent standard of living where you're getting $13 an hour, you get roughly $2,500, $2,600 a month. Take out $700, $800 for family insurance, and it leaves you $1,600, $1,800, $1,900 a month to pay a house, pay a car, pay kids' school, pay. It's just very difficult for some of these. So we really want to bring them up to 14.
How many jailers you got?
Pardon?
How many jailers? 6? 5?
5. Well, actually 4. Right now we have
Right
2.
now.
Right now we have 2.
No.
2 and an administrator, because 2 of them have
That's
left
4
for,
positions.
financial reasons, and it's difficult to replace them for
Is
financial reasons.
$14 an hour adequate?
Not in my mind, but I've got to go somewhere. In my
I
mind,
mean, it
that
doesn't seem to me like it's much of an increase.
Well, you're already talking at 4 positions at $1 more. I mean,
I'm just saying,
you're at
I mean,
8.
he's talking about bringing them up to where they can buy a loaf of bread, just like anybody else.
You're over $8,000 on the overall budget, so.
yeah.
I mean, we want safety and health and stuff like that, so.
I think they deserve it. I mean, they work 12-hour shifts. They're there day and night. They deal with people that most of us don't deal with on a regular basis in a not so friendly manner a lot of times, not so clean and healthy manner at times. And they're educated because there's a lot of electronics they have to deal with, a lot of liability that they're responsible for. And I think it's, that it's imperative that they be given an opportunity to provide for their family a livable income. As a full-time county employee, I think 14 is a minimum.
I think we're facing it just in another deal that we just talked about today too, and that is the transfer station down there. And you go down and work there, then everybody wants to work there for $12, $13 an hour because they're in slop.
I agree.
And so it's another position that we're having trouble filling because of wages and stuff, and keeping decent people there. They're what they're working in.
I agree, and don't get me wrong, not everybody that we get in jail is complete.
No.
Jerk either. I mean, we get people that just make a bad decision.
Yeah.
And therefore they're with us for a while. But, and I agree, I'm not saying the transfer station is any better. I think anybody in the county deserves a reasonable, livable wage.
Well, I agree with you.
Will have to be discussed and brought up.
Just a comment, I'm not asking. If you can, ask me back and I will definitely come back and discuss that further if you would like. Numbers, and I have 2 of them that communications and maybe part-time that are 13 and a quarter for communications as well. I mean, it's no different, but I've seen the impact just recently of 2 jails that can no longer afford to work here.
These are new ones coming on, right?
One of them is a part-time, they're both part-time technically. One's a part-time communications officer, and one's a
Cover
part-time
your
deputy.
ears, you're not getting a raise.
Yeah, this is in the budget.
Yeah, that's not out of line of budget, it's
Right. So, salary change for Colleen Mitchell, communications dispatch, new part-time 911 system operator. We are starting her off at $13.25.
Is that a going wage to start off that?
No, but that's our going rate, the county's.
Pay scale.
It's the county pay scale.
It would be interesting to know when we're gonna discuss that, isn't it, wouldn't it? I don't know why we keep kicking the can down the road.
I thought we just did.
Saying we're gonna do it since last year or something.
I think I already have this one.
You could, there was some confusion with the people moving desks in the clerk's office, whether one had been signed or not. So in order to verify and make sure.
I guess it wouldn't hurt.
Have two of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'm sure we did that
But
one.
I thought we did this one.
I thought one had been signed a week ago or so.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, last week, Brandon Harden, part-time deputy, $12 an hour.
Yeah, I thought that one had already been submitted, but there was some confusion, so just to make sure and cover it. I don't think that means 24, does it?
No.
No, you'd probably put one in for yourself then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for that I'd consider.
Yeah. And anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
I would like to thank you folks for coming up.
Yeah.
Because our small towns, Burns, my end, Gospel down there does have a part-time officer that Burns, and some of our other small towns feel that way too. I don't know what to say about it, it's just they feel that way too. They don't see them, they think they're never there. And so I understand what you're saying. That's why I was saying communications is a big deal. They let somebody know that they have been there, watch things, but our laws protect the thieves sometimes.
The guilty.
Yeah.
But what it's gonna come down to, we got some people that's gonna probably end up taking some of this in their own hands, and that's what I don't want.
Yeah, we don't want that.
I don't want that.
Totally discouraged.
And when you get up on that area, we got people, that family's been there for 60, 80, 100 years. And they still got that old, well, I'm through this area since 1949. And we got the feeling that back in the old days, we did handle it ourselves.
And we don't have that.
And you can't do that no more.
Yep. Very true.
Plus the Montreal cameras put on the intersections too,
Yeah.
to get some evidence for maybe you or something.
If you can provide me with evidence, usable in court evidence,
Yeah, we have a
we
street
need
light.
somebody willing to testify,
Where-
yeah, but when you see somebody driving fast, that's not enough.
Mhm.
Because I can't say how fast is fast. And we have to be able to say exactly what.
Well, you know about B Street law I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We put a trail camera facing in that direction at
You
the
know
road, maybe.
you know which family we're talking about.
I don't have my mind. what you're talking about.
All
right, hey,
We need to move on.
crossing the line.
We were very familiar with them.
Gotta be careful.
We didn't say no.
Good
man.
friends.
I know, we're getting close, so.
No,
We're
I
gonna
wasn't.
stop it right there.
I didn't say it was Jonah.
Ah, goodness. All right, so I'm gonna switch something right here. Thank you, Rob, unless you have anything else.
I think
Okay.
cleared my book.
Thank you, Rob.
They moved our public comments up on the list before we go to the county council. Since we do have people in the room, I wanted to make sure we didn't lose this. And anybody out there on the virtual meeting, we'll take public comments
Thank
right
you for
now.
coming. Appreciate it.
Follow him right out the door.
You'll do a good job.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you.
Kick him in the other foot.
No public comments.
You ready for public comments here or on the thing?
Either way. Anybody that we don't get very many anymore, so.
I would attest to what these gentlemen just said. The one evening I campaigned Ramona here a couple months ago, that got brought up pretty soon. Half the community's up there. And I said, well, they had to start as a group. Probably the city council had to start it, so I'm assuming maybe that's why they're here. But it is an issue up there, and long-going issue up there. I don't know what the correct way to fix it is, but I think there's room for something to happen up there.
I've heard from some younger individuals, actually.
I witnessed it, some of what they're talking about that evening. Went on for a couple hours. It's not a big issue, but whether Dave or I win, the only thing I would ask you to consider ahead of time is if we can have commission meetings moved to noon on Tuesdays. Sometimes my Monday mornings are pretty hampered. And it's just something.
And whether you sit there or there, you want to be able to participate.
Would help in my situation. Would help my situation, I don't know. So it's just something I thought I would mention already since
All
we're
right.
down to a couple weeks. Thank you for now.
Alrighty. Okay, you wanna have commission comments now, or you wanna wait till after Brad, or? Anybody got a commission comment? I'm pretty sure we all have quite a few comments. Of course, all this, and the key takeaway is communication.
Heard that over and over this morning.
There's no good time to have a meeting.
And I did hear the sheriff say the very same thing that Randy said. And the sheriff said that if they don't request a callback, they don't do it. So it takes the responsibility back to you on the other side again.
And that's why I asked if they could call back. I mean, the individual could call back. Then they didn't have a problem with that, so. One side or the other can come through, you know?
Yeah, it's tough for them people to do that. But yet they think it, but yet I guess maybe, like I said, both of the people who called me about it was, I didn't ask them that whether they asked for a call back or not.
But even still, if you think about it as a department, let's take the sheriff, for example. If they don't, they're busy people.
Yeah.
So every time they do something, oh, gotta go make a call back now. And if the people really don't care if they get a call back or not, are we not burdening them with a bunch of extra trivial little duties to do? Although I know communication is important, but if the people want to know, they should ask.
They should ask, yeah.
They should ask, instead of expecting the sheriff's department to do their callback for them.
The other thing is for the, as far as knowing who's in there, we used to have a record log that you could look back on. I mean, there's nothing to build a snapshot program that anytime there's a change put on the system, it snapshots it and it just gets put away as a record.
Now, you're offending my rights, buddy. When I got arrested and put in there, well, I don't want nobody to know it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm free and gone.
Yeah, but I know my daughter goes online and looks and sees who's there. I mean, she's done that right in front of me a few times, so
It just,
I know that's happening.
but it seems a little concerning if somebody was, I just wonder about an individual wondering, like the callback. Well, I seen them put them in the car, and then I went to go check, and they weren't listening. They weren't there. So it could be concerning the other way is, what are they doing to my family or my loved one? Or it could be, did they really do something or driving down the street and dump them out? Right? You know, there's both sides of that coin.
I've been the law officer that arrested him in Peabody, and Well, D is sitting right here when we get to jail.
Yeah.
There's the old jail right here. And so they walk through, sign a piece of paper and walk right, turn around, walk right back.
It's a Sally Port, walk straight through.
Right, it's just a,
Yeah.
well, some of them did, yes.
I just wondered if something that we ought to think is important enough to address.
What do you want out of it?
I don't, I'm just, somewhere there ought to be a record, right?
Oh, there's a arrest records.
Yeah.
But now to get, is it public, Brad? I thought it was.
So I just don't want the perception that we're not being totally transparent.
Right. I've never asked for that. I guess that's.
You read the paper, when it comes out who's released it.
Well, if the paper can't figure it out, then we're in trouble. So, all right. Brad.
Long executive session.
Oh.
Matters of litigation.
A long one?
10 minutes?
A long executive session.
Oh.
How many minutes?
30 at least.
Huh?
30 at least.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Need to order some more? All right, so I move that we recess in the executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege for potential litigation.
Just matters of
Matters
litigation.
of
Because he's
litigation. For 30 minutes, board, Brad, pursuant to KSA 75-4319. Second by Randy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Clarification will probably apply.
Can't hear you. Yeah, take off that muzzle.
For clarification, we'll probably need to invite in, and I've alerted him to it, our county engineer as well.
Okay. Catch that, Phyllis?
I'm sorry.
We're gonna invite in the county engineer.
You're gonna have to invite him.
County engineer.
At some point.
All right.
Okay, we'll be back at 12:45.
What time?
12:45.
12:45.
To me. Anybody else?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. I do have one thing, and I don't think it needs to be. On this, on the employment agreements, I mean, the standard employment agreement with, the appraiser would just be standard, but if there's certain things that the applicant promised to do, we add that in there?
Mhm. Yeah, you can make it part of the contractual obligation or the job description, if you so choose.
Okay.
There's a bridge.
Depending on what they are, obviously. I mean,
It's been put up over the railing. I got things that are over the railing.
There's a big emphasis put on
Bridge.
training on the assistant.
It's a nice, no, it's not that long.
And I wanted to make sure that that was.
It's a nice cement bridge, good
was marked in
fishermen.
there
80, 90 foot
and
house
reason
there.
for termination, if it didn't happen.
I've seen that work.
And
Come over
I
the railings.
want to make sure I'm tracking the
Level
training
water.
by the appraiser to the assistant, or the assistant, yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead and establish that there are certain requirements, and benchmarks to be met.
That was the intent.
Yeah, that's the intent, so we just need to make sure it's
Somebody in the city,
documented.
if you want to do that yet.
Just needs to be clearly put in there that it
Okay.
needs to be,
No, so-
if that doesn't come to be, then we got a problem.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
That was all I had.
I'd like to add the 8th judicial nomination for next week's agenda.
judicial nomination for the nomination committee.
Yeah, nomination. Okay, it's getting late. Nomination for the nomination committee.
Yes, yes.
That's coming up quickly.
Yeah. Gotta do something on that one quick. Anything else? We need to go for another one?
No, rest of the stuff is okay.
Anybody else? Everybody okay?
Yeah, except for when you folks go through our resolution on collection of solid waste, take a look at it. I mean, it says that lady there's in charge, but it don't say how to go out and check everything. And it's quite a deal.
So, all right, well, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.